I just want to say, she offered to tell me what she was going to say ahead of time, and I said, no, I'll be surprised. And I'll let you in on a secret. I don't actually know how to ride a bike, so I am not an eligible child. I also wouldn't say I was bitter about my not having a middle name, but anyway. So my story tonight is about childbirth and pregnancy. So I had to follow the person who had a bomb threat. Yikes. At any rate, I have 3 absolutely wonderful boys. Okay, they're not actually boys anymore, they're all full-grown adults, but that I gave birth to. And in the weird ways of pregnancy, those 3 children arrived, one on his due date, one early, and one late. So my story tonight is about my middle child, who I have to say, from before he was born, was on his own timeline. So at the time of my story, we are living in Hawaii. My husband was active duty in the Navy, and we were living in Hawaii with no family close by, with a toddler. When I got pregnant with our second child, they tell me my due date is December 18th. I say, okay, great, that's close to Christmas, but that's good. Also close to my mom's birthday. That's great. I'm working full-time. My toddler becomes a 3-year-old at the beginning of October, and his soon-to-be baby brother decides that maybe the beginning of October might be the time that he wants to be born. Nobody thinks this is a good idea. That's 2.5 months early. Nobody is excited about that. And so fortunately, the medical team was able to get the labor stopped, but consequences of that was that I had to go home and be on bed rest. And I was planning on quitting my job after he was born anyway, so I just moved up that timeline a little bit and went home. And if you've ever had any sort of medical incapacitation along with a toddler, you know what kind of fun that was. So the doctor tells me that my goal is Thanksgiving. I just have to get to Thanksgiving, and then everybody will be fine with whenever he comes, because that puts me at like 36 weeks and change, and that's fine. So that's my goal, is Thanksgiving. So I mentioned we're living in Hawaii, we have no family. So my mom and my grandma had to plan that they're gonna come out to Hawaii and help, because we have a toddler and soon to be a brand new baby. My mom calls me, she says, would December 10th be okay? She said, I'm worried that that's gonna be too late. And I say, no, that's fine. Because I am an eternal optimist, right? So there is no way that I am not making it to Thanksgiving. I'm gonna do it. So I say, no, December 10th is great, because in a worst case scenario in my head, this baby is 2 weeks old. Best case scenario, this baby's a day or 2 or old, or maybe is born within a couple of days of you arriving. That's fine. So they make their plans and life goes on. So lo and behold, I make it to Thanksgiving. Hallelujah, I have not had the baby. This is great. So no more restrictions, I don't have to be on bed rest. So I'm running around, chasing after a 3-year-old and doing all the things. And a few days after Thanksgiving, I start having contractions, and I do all of the things that the doctor had told me to do. If you're laying down, stand up, move around. If you're moving around, lay down, drink water, whatever. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. I don't remember all the details. But anyway, I do all those things. The contractions are getting stronger and closer together. So it's like, okay, must be time. So we go to the hospital, get there, get into an exam room, and they check me out, and they say, no, you are not having a baby today. Okay, whatever. That's fine. It was just like, a couple of days after Thanksgiving, still early. That's fine. I go home. December 10th arrives. And here comes my mom and my grandma to help out. And I still have not had this baby yet. So my grandma had not been to Hawaii since the 1960s. So I have no restrictions. We are doing all of the things, right? I'm taking them to all of the tourist attractions. I take them to the USS Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor. We go to the Polynesian Cultural Center so they can see that show. We take the 3-year-old to the zoo. We go to the Aloha Swap Meet. If you've ever been to Hawaii, you know what I'm talking about. All the things. Plus, it's getting closer to Christmas, and my grandma was a fantastic dessert maker and baker, so she offered to make Christmas cookies and other holiday treats. I'm like, please, by all means, because I am now almost 40 weeks pregnant and I feel like a beached whale and I'm miserable, and if you want to bake cookies and things for me, I am ecstatic about that. So my mom and my grandma do all sorts of stuff for us, house cleaning and making cookies and keeping the 3-year-old entertained, and I just lay around on the couch feeling miserable. And then December 21st arrives, and that's the day that my mom and my grandma are flying home. My mom back to Arizona, where she still lives, and my grandma to Florida. They have a late night flight, take them to the airport, send them on their way, and apologize for the fact that they came all the way to Hawaii to help with a baby who decided he wasn't gonna be born while they were there. And so they leave, and the next morning my husband gets up, goes to work, and I'm feeding the 3-year-old breakfast, and I call my husband at work probably around 9:30, and I say, I don't think you're gonna stay at work all day today. And he says, oh, do you need me to come home right now? And I say, no, nothing's happening. I just have this feeling. And he says, okay, well, keep me posted. And about 10:30, I call my next door neighbor, Lori, and I say, hey, Lori, would you be able to watch Ian today? And she says, oh, sure, are you and your mom and grandma gonna go do something? I say, no, I think I'm headed to the hospital. And she says, oh, did you change your mind? They're gonna go with to, be there for the birth. And I say, no, I took them to the airport last night. And she says, oh, Suzanne, I'm so sorry. I'm like, what are you gonna do? So my husband comes home at about 11:30. We drop Ian off with Lori next door to hang out with her and her daughter. And we head to the hospital. Get to the hospital, get into an exam room, and the nurse is checking me out, and she says, honey, I need you to do me a favor. And I'm like, please don't send me home. I can't go home. I've got to have this baby. I'm now more than 40 weeks pregnant. And spoiler alert, I've never been more than 40 weeks pregnant. My oldest son was born at 36 weeks and 2 days. So I am more than ready to have this baby. And she says, oh yeah, no, just don't deliver right here in this exam room. We need to get you moved into a labor and delivery room. I'm like, I have to go home without having the baby, hallelujah. She tells my husband, you better get downstairs and get her admitted, because you have to be admitted to the hospital. So he goes off running downstairs. Labor and delivery was like on the 5th floor. He goes running downstairs, gets me officially admitted to the hospital at noon, okay? At noon. I get moved into labor and delivery room. He comes running back up. Things are chaos, people are running around. I'm asking for my epidural and they're laughing at me because that's not happening. So I ask for any sort of pain meds because I'm a big wimp. And one nurse says, we'll see what we can do. And the other nurse says, go find the doctor. So, sparing all of the gory details, my son was born at 12:22. And if you were paying attention, he was born at 12:22 on 12:22. And the nurses told me that made him especially lucky. I don't know about that. But I have 2 points about this story. So as I mentioned, 3 kids, 3 labors, 2 of which were over 12 hours long, and I got an epidural for both of those, and one that was active labor for about an hour with no pain meds at all, and I would take the 12 to 15 hour labor and an epidural all day, every day, over doing it without any pain. And my other point, to circle back, this child of mine, who I love so dearly, who's always been on his own timeline. I'll just give you a couple of other really quick examples of him being on his own timeline. He didn't talk for the longest time. He had an older brother. His older brother talked for him. So he talked when he was ready, which was about 2.5. And I could not potty train this child to save my life. He was not interested at all. Didn't matter what I did, treats or, Cheerios to pee on, whatever. He did not care. Until about 2 weeks after his 3rd birthday, when he came downstairs one Monday morning and he said, "I don't want to wear a diaper anymore." And I said, "Okay, but you know what that means, right?" And he said, "Yeah." And so I put him in underwear, and that kid that week had 1 accident. When he was ready, he was ready.